Blue Protocol was an MMORPG that came out in Japan and was supposed to come to the West. But it never did. And it never did because it was very bad and nobody played it even there. It got cancelled on January 18th, 2025, and it was quite a shame because the game honestly looked pretty good. We don't really have anime MMORPGs like this. But guess what? It's coming back. And it's being re-released with a lot of changes as Blue Protocol Star Resonance this year globally. But did they change anything? Or are they gonna change nothing and just make the same mistakes and kill it once more? Well, in this video we're gonna go through all of the difference, or at least all the information we have. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support my content. Go to my Twitch to watch me live every morning. And let's get into it. Now, I know what you're gonna say about this game. You're gonna be like, oh, it probably died because it was pay to win. Well, it's kind of worse than that, because not only was it kind of pay to win, the combat was pretty bad. It was full of animation locks. The classes were super unbalanced. It didn't really make a lot of sense. The bosses were boring and just not engaging at all. The gear progression was boring. The endgame was almost non-existent. And all the cosmetics you would have in the game were just locked behind gacha, which is, you know, I get it. You have to make money in some way, but whenever everything else in the game is just not good, well, you're gonna have a little bit of an issue. So there was no wonders on why this game actually didn't work out, even if it looked pretty nicely. But now things have changed, right? Well, kind of, actually. For all the information we have, and I'm gonna use the footage from Tencent, you should definitely subscribe to their channel as they're covering mainly Blue Protocol, and they have a beta on China right now. I can't really access it, so this is the only footage we can actually get. The combat looks way better, less animation locks, it's more balanced, and the bosses also look pretty cool. There's more engaging mechanics instead of just being a golem that you just hit with all of your party and that's it. There's an actual design, and the gear progression is actually more interesting. Each dungeon has different gear that it actually drops. There are actually affixes inside of the dungeons, changes, you know, things that change the way that the dungeon is actually engaged with, like the same things you would see in like World of Warcraft or Guild Wars 2 or whatever, right? And now we actually have more classes. Originally there were only 5 of them on the release of Blue Protocol normally. Now there's gonna be 7, and 1 coming soon at the end. We're gonna have Heavy Guardian, Stormblade, Wind Knight, Marksman, Frost Mage, Verdant Oracle, and Shield Knight. Each of them having 2 specs that, well, they're the same class. But for example, in this case, one heals themselves a bit more on the Shield Knight and one does a bit more damage. For this one, the Heavy Guardian, you'll do a bit more damage with one, and then you are gonna have another one that's focused on blocking, and so on, which is honestly a cool little idea here. And there seems to be, like, there is indeed a Trinity system now. There's gonna be DPS, tanks, and healers. Not healers. I don't know where that came from. But the thing is, and that's interesting, is that before, I don't think they didn't have a Trinity system because they just didn't want it. I think it was more like, hey, we don't really know what we're doing here. We're just gonna make things that we think are cool, and then, you know, we'll see what happens. But now they actually have understood that that's not the way that you should actually develop your MMO. You probably should have an idea on how things actually work instead of just going in there and willy-nilly. Is that what you guys say in the Americas? Okay, go in there and just develop things in whatever way you want. Like, yeah, just you should have an idea of what your game should look like, even if then, you know, we come in there and just absolutely break the meta to make whatever we want work, or whatever is the best work. But there seems to be like they're actually learning a little bit on how to develop things. That being said, that's where the big problem, in my opinion, comes in. I understand that they're making a lot of changes, and according to most of the content creators that have been in this beta, it seems like things are going well. But the thing is that I think the developers of this game don't really have a lot of experience making MMOs and understanding what works and doesn't work in this type of games. So even though they have a cool graphics, they're working on it, it's a bit scary to, actually give them the benefit of the doubt when they don't have the experience to actually know what's good in the market. Yeah, you can listen to feedback, but you need to have experience and understanding on how the actual genre works for it to be good and make good decisions, not only now, but also later when you keep developing it. It is an MMORPG. It doesn't stop getting developed. So I'm not going to put all of my chips and, beliefs into a company and, team of developers that doesn't really have that much experience. And I'm going to say that as well because there's still problems in the new game. Apparently, there's some gathering problems in terms of how the actual end game works. There's just no reason to actually gather because there's some sort of lock system and time gated system for gathering it. I don't exactly know how it works, but apparently there's a big issue with this. There's still in China a little bit of... I wouldn't even say it's pay to win because it's just the system of how you transform money into in-game currency to actually progress. It's kind of just weird and doesn't really work very well. So much that even then people are complaining about it. And all of these little things, it just makes me think they just don't have the experience to do it. And maybe they'll learn on the go and before the actual release happens. But I definitely would be a bit skeptical. I would definitely not, I'm gonna keep tracking this game and I'm gonna keep focusing on it and oh, what is happening? Is it good? Is it bad? Are they changing? Are they learning from their mistakes? For sure, because it has a lot of potential. I mean, I really like the anime aesthetic. I like the idea of having this as a, MMORPG, like a Genshin Impact, but on MMORPG. I think anime looks so cute. I really like how it looks. I just love this kind of games. So it would be my dream that something like this actually exists and works. So we'll have to wait. But I definitely wouldn't put all of my chips in here. I do think that it's most likely won't die because of pay to win. At the end of the day, it's going to go global. And, I think they have learned a good amount of lessons in terms of how to develop games for the West. There's a reason why they didn't even launch it here because they probably knew that it's not going to work out. So, I don't know. I have a bit of a feeling that it's not going to be at least insanely pay to win. If anything, it's going to be just gacha for cosmetics, which is probably fine as long as the progression in terms of gear or whatever other types of in-game content you have is there, right? But I think the biggest, most scary thing is the fact that the team is unexperienced. And unless they figure it a way, understand better how the actual genre works and what people enjoy going through in MMORPGs, I'm gonna have a problem. The combat looks honestly pretty cool, pretty flashy in a good way. So we'll definitely have to, I'll keep covering it. As soon as we get any more information, I'll definitely do so. So definitely subscribe to the channel for that kind of content. But I really hope this ends up going well. So there you go. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me if you think it's gonna be a complete disaster, or tell me if you have a little bit of hope on this actually working out. I think it's important to be skeptical, but also at the same time, it's important to have a little bit of faith on new games. I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to, be excited for something new. And the worst case scenario, we all go back to the MMOs we played before and have accompanied us through the years. For me, that'll always be Guild Wars 2. And I guess WoW there. But that's more like a toxic ex-girlfriend I always end up with. Maybe this game will make me not go back to WoW again. We'll see. But there you go. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support my content. See you guys around. Love you all. Bye. Bye.